Lin Xuanyuan knew since childhood that his devastating small mountain village had no prospects. The village is called Qingxili, which is in a foul mountain and miscellaneous water along the Jiutianshan realm, without even a road like that. The villager Zuzu, who lived by relying on the thin fields and going up the mountain to make a living, was so busy that he couldn't afford to drink the coarse tea sold in the town next door. Lin Xuanyuan is just over 16 this year. She is tall and thin. She is always wearing a layer of black red that blows the sun. Her eyes are as bright as the stream in the mountains, and she is filled with a slumber that is unwilling to accept it. Early this morning, he carried a broken hatchet, and carried a bamboo pear on his back, and prepared to go up the mountain to cut some firewood in return. My mother at home is in poor health. My father was bitten by a wild animal while going into the mountain to get a fight a few years ago. His legs and feet were damaged and he couldn't do heavy work. All the work at home was pressed on his shoulders. He had no complaints, and after all, his life was so hard that he gritted his teeth and passed by. Xuanyuan, don't walk too far. I heard that the mountains are not peaceful recently, and there is no big fortune. Uncle Wang next door was squatting at his door to smoke trout. Seeing him passing by, he raised his head and said, "Don't worry, Uncle, I'll turn outside, not go deep into the mountains." Lin Xuanyuan grinned, showed off her white teeth, and then slapped her hands and walked up the mountain road. The mountain beside Qingxili is called Black Wind. Its name is a foolish person. In fact, it is an ordinary mountain with some wild wolves and wild pigs on the top, which is nothing big. Lin Xuanyuan ran away from childhood in the mountains. He was clear about all the paths leading to the forest, and behind the stones there was a burly trail. He walked up the familiar mountain road, with the air carrying a cold earthy smell in the air, and occasionally birds yelled from the forest, making the mountain more peaceful. After most of the time, he finally arrived at a familiar firewood field. There are many trees and many dead branches here, so cutting them off saves effort. He put down the bamboo mattress, swung the hatchet and started working. His movements were very quick. As he chopped, he suddenly felt an inexplicable heat on his body, as if a heat was flowing from his lower abdomen and penetrated his brain. He was stunned. The hatchet in his hand almost didn't hold it. He cut it off and the blade was embedded in the trunk of an old tree. "What's the matter?" he muttered, wiped the sweat off his head, and found that his palms were burning like charcoal. He looked down and saw something seemed to be flowing under his skin, revealing a faint green light. He was shocked and wondered if he had been caught in some evil spirits. It was a common saying in the mountains that some places were full of dangers if they bumped into them. He was thinking about it when the ground under his feet suddenly felt slightly shaking, as if something was about to arch out of the ground. He instinctively took a few steps back, and heard a loud noise. A mountain wall around the distance actually broke a hole, revealing a black hole. The entrance of the cave is not big, so it can only accommodate one person's side, but there is a strange smell that cannot be described in it, as if a wind blows out from the cave, carrying a little ice and a bit inspiring. Lin Xuanyuan swallowed, his heart beating like a drumbeat. He knew that there was no match for this place, so he should have lost his head and ran away, but it seemed that there was a root under his feet, so he couldn't start no matter how hard he was. The entrance of the cave seemed to have magic power, hooking him into it. He gritted his teeth, told himself to take a look, and leave after seeing it, and never be stupid. He lifted the hatchet on the ground, pressed the zipper close to the entrance of the cave, and looked in. It was so dark that it looked like ink, and he couldn't see anything clearly. But at this moment, the heat on his body poured on him again, and this time it became even more harmful, as if the blood in his body was boiling. He hummed and almost stood firm. A blurry picture suddenly appeared in his brain, a green flower, surrounded by light spots, like stars and spirits. What's this? He was in a mess and he had a doubt that this picture had anything to do with him. He was about to look more carefully, but there was another shock under his feet. This time the whole mountain shook, as if it was about to collapse at any time. The stone near the entrance of the cave began to fall down, making a stern sound. He only came back to his senses and knew that he could not stay anymore, so he turned around and wanted to run away. But when he took a step, a strong suction force suddenly burst out from the hole behind him, like an invisible big hand, pulling him in directly. He didn't even have time to shout, and he fell into the darkness. His body sank uncontrollably, and there was only a whirring sound in his ears. I don't know how long it took, but he finally fell on a hard ground with a bang, making him grin, and it took him a long time to pass by. He opened his eyes quietly and found that he was in a completely unfamiliar place. This place is not like a cave, but rather like a huge underground palace. The surrounding stone walls are full of strange flower patterns, emitting faint green light. Where is this? Lin Xuanyuan got up, rubbed her shoulders that were hurt, and looked around. Her heart was getting wet. He looked down and found that the green light on his body was even more obvious, as if it was coming out from under his skin, gathering into the shape of a flower. He was stunned for a moment, and suddenly remembered the picture that had just passed in his brain, and his heart beat faster. Boy, who are you? How did you get into this place? An old voice suddenly came from a distance, and Lin Xuanyuan almost jumped up. He turned his head suddenly and saw an old man in a gray robe standing a dozen steps away, looking at him with a pair of sharp eyes. The old man was hunched, his head was covered in white, and his face was as deep as old skin, but his body felt an indescribable sense of pressure, which made people dare not look directly. My name is Lin Xuanyuan. I am a villager from Qingxili. I just chopped wood on the mountain and was accidentally sucked in. Lin Xuanyuan hurriedly explained, his voice trembling a little. Although he had never seen any world, he also knew that this old man was absolutely insignificant and might be the infamous master in the mountains. Qingxiji? The old man narrowed his eyes and looked him up and down. His eyes suddenly stopped on the blue light on his body, and his face changed slightly. Is this the breath of the innate spiritual root? Boy, why do you have this thing on your body? What? Innate spiritual root? Lin Xuanyuan fogged water and couldn't understand what the old man was saying. He only felt that he had fallen into this ghost place today, and he was caught in such an inexplicable old man. The old man ignored his doubts and walked closer, reaching out and pressing his shoulder. Lin Xuanyuan only felt a warm current flowing in from her shoulders and instantly flowing throughout her body. The heat on her body actually relieved a lot. Before he could be surprised, the old man had already withdrawn his hand and a slight shock appeared on his face. It's indeed an innate spiritual root, and it's extremely high in grade. Joyo Ching Chao? How is this possible? Old, can you tell me clearly? I really don't know what you are talking about. Lin Xuanyuan couldn't help but open his mouth. Although the other party seemed to be unhappy, he still felt uneasy. The old man was silent for a moment, and finally opened his mouth. I am a casual cultivator who lives here. This is a cave of heaven and blessed land in the Nine Heavens mysterious realm, called the Qinglin secret realm, separated from the outside world, and only a special blood vessel or spirit root holder can enter. The 9 nether green cover hidden in your body is the ultimate treasure among the innate spiritual roots. It can sense the entrance to the blessing of the cave, and absorb the essence of heaven and earth, help you to cultivate your soul and become an immortal. Lin Xuanyuan was stunned for a moment, his brain was full of questions. Cultivating immortals? A blessed land in the cave? He only heard these words in the old people in the village. It would be fine if he heard them as stories, but he didn't expect that he would really hit them now. He lowered his head and looked at the green light on his body, but he still felt it was untrue. Then, what is this spiritual root? Why is it on me? Yunjinren shook his head and did not answer directly, but said in a deep voice, the innate spiritual roots are the treasures of heaven and earth. Those who possess it can use their power to break the shackles of cultivation and even change their destiny. But for this reason, you will be the target of the target. Once you are known, countless powerful people will do whatever they can to take away your spiritual roots. Do you understand what this means? Lin Xuanyuan felt nervous. Although he didn't understand the rules of the immortal world, he could also hear that this was not a good thing. He bit his lip and asked, then what should I do? I don't want this, can I get rid of it? Take it off? Yunjinren sneered, the spiritual roots blend with your blood are already part of you. Unless you lose your foundation, no one can take it away. But if you lose your spiritual roots, you will no longer be able to cultivate immortality, and you will be able to be immortal in your life. Can you do it? Lin Xuanyuan said nothing. Although he didn't know how to cultivate immortality, he also knew that this was an opportunity to change his fate. King Shili's life was too hard, and he had long wanted to take his parents to live a good life. If cultivating immortals could help him do this, how could he give up? But Yun's real person's words made him feel cold again. He was chased and killed by countless powerful people. This is not something to be fooled. I see you well, and spiritual roots are even rarer. If you wish, I can accept you as a disciple and teach you how to temper spiritual roots and cultivate them with the help of the resources of the world and blessed land. But you need to remember that matters about spiritual roots must not be transmitted, otherwise it will be a disaster. Yuniran's true language is dull and has unquestionable majesty. Lin Xuanyuan hesitated for a moment, finally gritted his teeth, knelt down and kowtowed. Disciple Lin Xuanyuan, I wish to worship Master. Please teach me. Yun Xiaodi pointed his head a little and showed a hint of satisfaction on his face. Okay, from today on, you will be my disciple. This Qinglin secret realm will be your first place to try, come with me. Speaking, he turned around and walked towards the depths of the palace. Lin Xuanyuan hurriedly got up and followed, and his heart was both nervous and expectant. He didn't know what he would encounter when he took this step, but he thought that his fate had finally changed from this moment to the end. They walked through a long stone corridor, and the stone walls on both sides were full of strange patterns. Some looked like flying fairies, and some looked like fierce demons, lifelike, as if they would jump out at any time. Lin Xuanyuan was dazzled and dared not slow down. After about half a moment of leaving, a piece of open ground finally appeared in front of him. There was a huge bluestone platform in the center. A group of green light floated on the platform. In the light, you could see the shadow of a flower, and the green light on his body seemed to appear. This is the core of the Qinglin secret realm, and it is also the projection of the Joyo Qinglin. Yunli real person stopped his foot and his eyes fell on the light group. Your spiritual root is closely related to this place. If you can quench it here, you will cultivate it to fly and rush. But it is not easy to quench the spiritual root. It requires great pain. Can you prepare? Lin Xuanyuan looked at the green light and felt an inexplicable throbbing in her heart, as if her soul was touched. He took a deep breath and pointed, "Disciple is ready." Rillian didn't say anything more. He raised his hand and slapped it, and a curtain of light shot out from his palm, covering the bluestone platform. He turned to look at Lin Xuanyuan and said in a deep voice, "Step into the light curtain, sit in the center of the bluestone platform, close your eyes and concentrate, and guide the spiritual roots in projection. I will protect the method. If there is any inappropriateness, do not force it." Lin Xuanyuan pointed a little, and although he was nervous, he was more expectant. He walked past the curtain of light, sat on the bluestone platform, closed his eyes, and tried to calm down. But at this moment, he suddenly felt a cold chill rising from the bottom of his foot, as if countless fine needles were pierced into his bone marrow, making him almost scream in pain. He bit his teeth tightly and endured the pain. The shadow of the green leaf appeared in the sea of brain, as if guiding him to do something. At the same time, in the Blood Demon Palace far away from the other end of the Nine Heavens Xian realm, a man in a black robe suddenly opened his eyes, with a hint of red light flashing in his eyes. He murmured in a low voice, "Did the breath of the innate spiritual root finally appear? No matter who you are, this Joyo Qingluo, I will settle down." His voice was low and cold, as if it was coming from deep, with no urge to kill him. At this time, Lin Xuanyuan was still completely unaware that he had been locked by a pair of invisible eyes, and the first crisis on the road to immortal cultivation was approaching quietly. Lin Xuanyuan sat on the bluestone platform, closing his eyes, and a layer of sweat had already emerged from the top. The chill from the bottom of his foot became stronger and stronger, like a knife scraping away from his bones. His teeth were so painful that he bit his teeth tightly, and his breathing became thicker. He has never suffered such a crime, and when he was a child, he fell over his legs in the mountains, and he was not so tormenting. But he knew in his heart that this was the process of tempering the spirit. Real person Yunlu had already reminded him that he could not bear this hardship, and he would not want to walk the road ahead even more. Concentrate and calm, don't think about it, and guide the green light to flow in the body, and respond to the projection on the stage. Yun Jinren's voice came from outside the light curtain, calm and low, as if he had a calm mind. Lin Xuanyuan took a deep breath, forcing himself to ignore the biting pain, and carefully outlined the green treasure in his brain. Slowly, he felt a warm feeling from his lower abdomen, as if a stream of slight flow came out of it, flowing slowly along the muscles. Although it still hurts, it felt a little better than the tearing feeling just now. The real person Yunlu outside the light curtain looked at Lin Xuanyuan's state and pointed a little, with a flash of relief in his eyes. Although this boy is a mountain village boy who has never seen the world, his mind is quite good. It is really hard to bear this pain when he tempers the spirit for the first time. He raised his hand and shook it, and the green light in the light curtain was a little more scattered, as if countless small light spots gathered into a piece of light, surging around Lin Xuanyuan, helping him to guide the power of the spiritual roots. As time passed, Lin Xuanyuan didn't know how long he had been sitting, but he felt that the green light was moving around in his body. Every time he passed the tendons, it seemed like he was washing something dirty, making him feel a little relaxed. In the end, the biting chill turned into numbness. Although it was still difficult, at least I could grit my teeth and survive. He felt happy in his heart, thinking that the process of tempering the spirit roots seemed not that terrible, and he might have to endure it for a while. But at this moment, the light group on the bluestone platform suddenly became violently shaking, as if something was about to be removed. Lin Xuanyuan suddenly opened his eyes, only to see that the shadow of the 9 nether green lantern became clearer in the green light, and runes flowed on the petals, emitting an ancient and mysterious breath. At the same time, the green light inside his body seemed to be attracted, and suddenly accelerated to flow, so fast that he couldn't stand it. No, this is a sign of awakening from the spirit root, ahead of time. Yun Yi's face changed and he quickly raised his hand to type a magic. The green light in the light curtain was suppressed for a few points, but it was still a little unstable. He turned to Lin Xuanyuan and said in a deep voice, "Boy, calm your mind. The power of the spirit is stronger than I expected. Now that you wake up in advance, it will bring a greater backlash. If you can't hold back, you will immediately withdraw from the light curtain." Lin Xuanyuan bit his teeth tightly, and the sweat beads on the head slid down drop by drop, his face as white as paper. He knew that Yun Yi was right, and the power inside his body became more and more violent, as if he wanted to break through his muscles and tear him apart. But he also knew that once he left the light curtain, the previous efforts would be defeated this time, and it might also damage the foundation of the spirit. He felt a little nervous and said with a hard head, "Master, I can hold on. Let's continue." Yun Wang stared at him, saw that his eyes were firm, and finally he pointed at him without saying anything more. He sealed his hands and recited a few mantras in his mouth. The green light in the light curtain gradually stabilized, but the pressure did not diminish. Instead, it looked like a mountain, pressing heavily on Lin Xuanyuan. He felt his bones squeaking, as if they would break at any time, but the shadow of the green collar in the brain became clearer and clearer, as if he was encouraging him to hold on for a while. I don't know how long it took, but Lin Xuanyuan finally heard a buzzing sound, as if something was turned off. He suddenly opened his eyes and found that the light group on the bluestone platform had completely scattered. The projection of the 9 nether green bed floated in the air, spiraling and scattering a soft and powerful breath. At the same time, the green light in his body calmed down and turned into a long and warm air, blending into his limbs, making his whole body feel as if he had been removed from the fetus and bones, and he couldn't say it was comfortable. "It's done." Yun Yixing let out a breath and a smile appeared on his face. "Boy, your first quenching has inspired the spiritual roots to awaken. Although the process is in danger, the effect is better than I expected. From now on, your Joyo Qinglu is truly recognized. As long as you cultivate it well, it will definitely help you step into the peak of immortal cultivation in time." Lin Xuanyuan gasped, wiped the sweat from her face, and grinned, "Thank you, Master." But, what does this spiritual root mean? Why didn't I feel that I've become much stronger? Yunjinren hummed and glared at him without any hesitation. Heart of the spirit is just the first step, which means it is completely integrated with your blood and can evolve with your cultivation in the future. But now you have not stepped into the door of immortal cultivation. How can you feel stronger? Next, I will teach you the most basic method of attracting energy into the body, helping you officially embark on the path of cultivation. Speaking, he swept his hand and the light curtain dissipated, and the projection of the green collar on the bluestone platform was also hiding, as if it had never appeared. Lin Xuanyuan stood up, moved his muscles and bones, and found that although he was as tired as a dog, he was extremely energetic and had no pain left by chopping wood before. He was excited in his heart and thought to himself that there was indeed a way to cultivate immortals, and he might really change his destiny. Let's go, there are many places worth exploring in this Qinglin secret realm. While the spirit roots just woke up, I will take you to a place with abundant energy and teach you to attract your energy into your body. Yunjinren turned around and walked towards the other end of the stone corridor. Lin Xuanyuan hurriedly followed, feeling full of anticipation. They passed through several twists and turns and arrived in front of a mysterious underground lake. The lake water is as clear as a glass, emitting a faint green light. Several white treasures are floating on the water surface, and a fresh spirit is filled with the air, which makes people feel refreshed when they hear it. The stone walls on the lake are covered with moss, and water droplets are dripping, making a crisp sound. This is the spirit source lake in the Qinglin secret realm. The lake contains pure spirit of heaven and earth, which is most suitable for beginners to attract energy into their bodies. Yunjinren pointed to a flat stone beside the lake. Sit down, I will teach you the most basic technique of turtle. Lin Xuanyuan sat down as he said, raised his legs, learned from Yunjinren's guidance, closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing. Yunjinren stood aside and explained in a low voice, the first step in cultivating immortality is to perceive the spirit of heaven and earth, introduce it into the body, temper the tendons, and strengthen yourself. The spirit of the spiritual source lake is full of depression, you just need to empty your mind, feel the airflow around you, and try to inhale them into your body. Lin Xuanyuan pointed a little, calmed down and tried to sense the air around him. At first he could not feel anything, and he felt that the wind on the lake was a little cool, but after a while, he suddenly realized that there seemed to be some small light around him, like a firecracker, floating in the air, approaching him slowly. He was delighted and tried to suck these lights into his body according to Yin Wang's method. Sure enough, those lights seemed to be attracted, slowly blending into his skin, turning into a long and clean airflow, flowing in his body. That's it, come slowly, don't be anxious. Yunjinren saw him enter the door quickly and was satisfied with the point. Inducing air into the body is only the first step. Next, you still need to learn to inject the spirit into the dantian and turn it into your own use. But this is not something that happens overnight. Let's stop here today, so as not to hurt the muscles. Lin Xuanyuan opened her eyes quietly and felt her whole body relaxed a lot, as if she had just taken a hot bath and her pores were all opened. He grinned and couldn't help asking, Master, how long does it take to train this energy to be considered a small success? When will I fly away from the sky and the earth, just like the immortal in the past? Yunjinren glared at him without any hesitation, flying the sky and hiding the earth? You kid think so beautiful. The road to immortal cultivation is endless, and attracting energy into the body is only the most basic realm. There are countless links in the back, including the foundation, the elixir, the Yuan baby, etc., and you have to step on every step. You can't even have a small bird that attracts energy, so you're still practicing it. Lin Xuanyuan slapped her head and smiled. Although she was lost by her master, he was still very happy in his heart. After all, from a mountain village boy to being able to learn immortality now, it is already a huge opportunity, and he dare not expect to reach the sky in one step. In the next few days, Lin Xuanyuan followed Yunyan's real life learning to attract energy into his body, and his life was simple and fulfilling. He found that his perception of spirit was becoming more and more agile, and he could even feel that a stronger force was flowing deep in the spirit source lake, like something was summoning him. However, Yunwang warned him that there were many restrictions at the bottom of the lake. If he continued to practice now, he could only suppress his curiosity and concentrate on cultivating. In the evening of this day, Lin Xuanyuan had just finished the day's Tengna and was sitting on the lake to rest when he suddenly heard a deep sound of rushing birds from the distance, as if something was shaking underground. He was stunned, turned his head and looked at Yunjinren, and saw the other party's face slightly changed, and his eyes looked in the direction of the sound. "Master, what's going on? It's not right when you hear this sound." Lin Xuanyuan stood up, feeling a little uneasy. Yunliren narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, "This is the entrance to the Qinglin secret realm. It may be that someone from the outside world tried to enter it with pictures. This place is separated from the outside world, and regular practitioners cannot find the entrance at all, unless someone senses the breath of the spirit." Lin Xuanyuan felt nervous and remembered what Yunjinren said before, and countless powerful people would not use any means to make a spiritual route. He swallowed and asked in a low voice, "What should we do? Can we hold it?" Yunjinren was silent for a moment and said in a deep voice, "The restriction of the Qinglin secret realm is extremely strong. Most people cannot come in, but if the other party is a powerful person, things will be cumbersome. I have to go to the entrance to find out. You stay here, don't run around. If there is anything wrong, immediately hide in the cave on the lake, where there is the hidden way I set up." After saying that, Yun Zhao's real person's figure flashed and turned into a blue light and swept away from the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lin Xuanyuan looked at the direction of his master's departure, and his heart was up and down, and he always felt that something bad was about to happen. He lowered his head and looked at the hidden green light from his body, gritted his teeth, thinking that no matter what, he would never let people discover the secret of the spiritual roots. At the same time, at the entrance of the Qinglin secret realm, 3 black shadows were floating in the air in a chaotic air, and a strong magic was scattered on their bodies. The man in the head was wearing a long blood-colored robe, with a horny face and a double-eyed ape. He was one of the subordinates of the Blood Demon Lord, the strongest demon Taoist ancestor Heifeng. The 2 people behind him are his confidants. Although they are not as good as him, they are also masters in the basic realm. Old Ancestor, the ban in this secret realm is indeed powerful. We have tried it a few times but it has not been broken. One of the men in black robes said softly, with a few unwillingness in their temperament. The Ancestor of Black Wind snorted coldly, his eyes swept over the twisted empty space in front of him, and said in a deep voice, "Mr. Demon Lord has calculated that this secret realm is related to the innate spiritual roots. No matter what, it must be broken. If you can get the 9 Nether Green corner, the magic of Master Demon Lord will be able to be perfect, and you and I will get a share of the pie. Continue to try, regardless of how much spiritual stones you consume, you must tear this hole today." "Yes." The 2 subordinates responded in a loud voice, and immediately took out several pieces of crystal stones with heavy spirits and began to set up a breaking of the forbidden law. The air was always filled with low birds, as if the restriction was touched, causing unstable waves. Far away, real person Yun was hidden in a cloud, and could see this scene clearly. His face was dark and he thought it was not good. These people had good cultivation, especially the Black Wind Ancestor, who was obsessed with the breath of the Enden realm. If they really broke the ban, the Qinglin secret realm would probably be exposed. He lowered his head and thought for a moment, finally made up his mind, raised his hand to type a notes, and flew towards the direction of Lingyuan Lake. Lin Xuanyuan was sitting on the lake in a daze when suddenly a green light came flying, and the voice of Yunjinren sounded in his ears, "Boy, hurry up and hide into the stone cave. There is a magic cultivator trying to break the ban at the entrance. I need to respond with all my strength and cannot come back in a short time. Remember, no matter what silence you hear, you won't be able to come out." Lin Xuanyuan was shocked, and hurriedly got up and ran towards a secret stone cave near the lake. The entrance of the cave is narrow and dark inside, but when you enter, you can feel a faint wave of spirit, as if protected by some kind of air method. He shrank into the hole, holding his breath, his heart beats like a drum beat, and his brains were full of bad thoughts. The demon cultivator, wouldn't he bend me, right? he muttered in a small voice, clenched his fist, and secretly prayed that Yunwang could hold those people. But what he didn't know was that this crisis was just the beginning, and a greater storm was curling in the Nine Heavens' mysterious realm, and his path to cultivating immortals would become even more difficult. As time passed, a low bird came from outside the cave, as if there was something far away to fight. Lin Xuanyuan hid in the cave, and did not dare to come out, so he could only wait silently. He had a sense of premonition in his heart that he might not be able to defend this secret realm of Qinglu. Whether he escapes with his master or faces him alone, he has to prepare for the unknown challenge. Lin Xuanyuan shrank in the corner of the cave, with his back against the cold stone wall, his ears tightly against the direction of the cave entrance, and tried to hear the static outside. The low sound of the bird was approaching, as if thunder was rolling down the ground, and occasionally there were a few sharp sounds of air-breaking sounds that made his heart tight. He knew that this must be the real person Yunlu fighting with those demon cultivators at the entrance. Although the master was highly educated, there were many people on the other side. What if a master couldn't hold back? He clenched his fists, his palms were covered in sweat, and his brain was in numbness. Time passed minute by minute, and I don't know how long it took, but the static outside finally became smaller, as if he stopped in a fight. Lin Xuanyuan relaxed her voice a little, but she still felt unsure. He was thinking about whether to secretly look at it when a sudden rush of footsteps came from outside the cave. Then, a familiar green light flashed through, and the figure of real person Yunlu appeared at the entrance of the cave. Master! Lin Xuanyuan was startled and hurriedly got up. He saw that Yun Zhao's face was white, and there was still a bloody slut on the corner of his mouth. Several holes were broken on the gray robe, and he obviously suffered a dull injury. His heart sank and he asked, "How are you? Where are those people?" The real person Yunluo slammed his hands, gasped for a long time, and said in a deep voice, "I am not very tired, but I just spent some energy. Those demonic cultivators were temporarily pulled back by me, but their magical ambushes that broke the ban had been laid down. The entrance ban at the Qinglin secret realm was stolen, and I am afraid that I will not be able to keep it for long. What should we do? Can we escape?" Lin Xuanyuan was so anxious that he rushed. Although he didn't understand the rules of the immortal world, he also knew that if this place was compromised, he and his master would be ruined. The real person Yun narrowed his eyes, glanced over Lin Xuanyuan, and his words were low, "Escape? This secret realm of Qinglin is your ambulance. If you let go, the growth of Jiuyo Qinglin will be greatly affected. But if you stay, the risk will be even greater. The master behind those demon cultivators is not small, and I can't hold it alone." Lin Xuanyuan gritted his teeth, and his heart was so irritated. He knew that the master was right, and this place was very important to his spirit, but he didn't want to drag his master down. After hesitating for a moment, he finally made up his mind, "Master, why don't you take me away? No matter how important the spirit is, it's not important. Let's find a safe place first." Real Man Yun looked at him with a flash of relief in his eyes and pointed a little, "Good boy, he has not been scattered by the storm. Since that's the case, we will leave the secret passage behind the secret realm, and lead to another cave heaven and blessed land. Although the spirit is not as good as here, we can hide at the moment." Speaking, he raised his hand and slapped it, and a green light shot out from his palm. A hole broke open on the stone wall deep in the cave, revealing a narrow passage, which was pitch black and cold wind blew out. Yun Xiao turned around and said, "Follow me, there are restrictions in the passage, so don't touch anything." Lin Xuanyuan pointed at the head and followed his master, and the two of them drew in the passage, one in front and one behind. The passage was extremely cold, and the stone walls on both sides were covered with moss. When they were under their feet, they stepped on some slippery things, like some small crawlers crawling over. He gritted his teeth and did not dare to say a word, so he could only lower his head and follow Yun Xiao. After about half a minute of leaving, a glimmer of light finally appeared in front of me, as if the exit was approaching. But at this moment, a violent shock suddenly came from behind, as if the entire secret realm was shaking. Yun Yi's face changed and he said in a deep voice, No, the restriction has been broken, those people are coming in. Go quickly. He grabbed Lin Xuanyuan, and the green light flashed under his feet, and the speed suddenly accelerated, almost dragging Lin Xuanyuan towards the exit. Lin Xuanyuan only felt the sound of his ears whirring, his brain was full of tightness, and the pressure behind him became stronger and stronger, as if someone was approaching quickly. Finally, the two of them rushed out of the passage, and their eyes suddenly opened. It was a strange valley, surrounded by mountains and clouds, and a faint spirit filled the air. The real person Yunluo did not stop and raised his hand to produce a magic trick. The entrance to the passage behind him collapsed, turning into a pile of gravel, blocking the road to the end. This is a small blessed land near the Nine Heavens profound realm, called Yunku, which is safe at a time. Yunwang True Man gasped and turned to Lin Xuanyuan, but the magic cultivator has different methods and said that he may be able to follow the spiritual breath. We cannot stay for a long time. Lin Xuanyuan looked at her head, and she felt a little nervous in her heart. He lowered his head and looked at himself. Although the green light from the spiritual root was suppressed a lot, occasionally a breath would appear, as if it would be exposed at any time. He bit his lip and asked in a low voice, "Master, is there any way to hide this breath? I always think this thing is like a blow-off at a certain time, which will cause trouble at any time." Yunjinren was silent for a moment, and finally said, "There is, but with your current cultivation, the risk of using it is too great. There is a sealing technique that can temporarily seal the spiritual breath, but it will weaken your cultivation speed, and may even damage your foundation. Can you please try it?" Lin Xuanyuan was stunned. After hesitating for a few seconds, he still gritted his teeth and said, "Try it. Your life is almost gone. What else can you do to cultivate? Live it first." He knew in his heart that no matter how precious the spirit is, he had to have the life to enjoy it. Yun Xiao clicked the head and didn't say more. He found a flat rock to let Lin Xuanyuan sit down. He sealed his hands and chanted the mantra in his mouth. A series of green light flew out from his fingertips, surging around Lin Xuanyuan, as if it had formed a detailed net. Lin Xuanyuan only felt a stinging pain in her lower abdomen, as if her spiritual root was pressed by something, and the flow of the spirit inside her body slowed down. "It's done." Yuniren withdrew his hand and his face turned pale a little. It was obvious that the seal had consumed a lot of money. This seal can last for 3 months. If it is not untied in 3 months, the spiritual root may be damaged. But during this period, your breath will not leak out and it will be safe at all. Lin Xuanyuan moved his body for a moment, and indeed felt that the breath of the spirit root was being pressed to death, and even the green light could not be seen. He relaxed his voice and grinned, "Thank you, Master, where are we going next?" Real Person Yun looked at the clouds far away and said in a deep voice, "The Cloud Valley is just a temporary fall. We have to find a more mysterious cave and blessed land to help you continue to temper your spiritual roots. The mysterious realm of the Nine Heavens is too big, and there are dragons and tigers. I know a few old friends, maybe they can help you. Let's go with them." After a while, the two of them left the Cloud Valley and advanced towards the depths of the Nine Heavens mysterious realm. In the following days, Lin Xuanyuan followed Yunjinren to various small blessed places, avoiding the pursuit of demon cultivators, and at the same time finding a place suitable for tempering the spirit roots. Their feet were spread across the wilderness, and they were in the secret cave and traveling through dangerous forbidden areas. Lin Xuanyuan also grew rapidly in the process, cultivating to break through from the early stage of the gas-induced realm to the middle stage. Although their progress was not fast, they took every step firmly. During an exploration, they accidentally entered a blessed land called the Monthly Secret Realm. The spirit here was so heavy that it almost turned into a mist. The ground was filled with strange flowers and grass, and a sweet fragrance was filled with air. Lin Xuanyuan was looking around and suddenly heard a slight response coming from afar, as if someone was approaching. His heart was tightened, and he hurriedly hid behind a big rock and looked in the direction of the sound. I saw a girl wearing a white gauze dress walking slowly. Her body was delicate, her skin was as white as moonlight, and her facial features were as delicate as a painting. A faint wave of spirit scattered on her body, as if it was integrated with this secret realm. The girl seemed to have not noticed Lin Xuanyuan's existence, and walked straight to a tree full of white flowers, reached out and touched the tree gently, and murmured something in her mouth. Lin Xuanyuan was stunned and wondered why there would be someone else here. Just as she was wondering whether to appear, Yunjinren suddenly appeared beside him and said in a low voice, "Don't make a sound, this girl is not simple. She has the bloody breath of the world and the blessed world. She may be the guardian clan here." The blood of the blessed land? Lin Xuanyuan fogged water, but when he saw the master's expression was serious, he did not dare to ask any more, so he could only continue to hide and observe. The girl seemed to notice something, turned her head suddenly, her eyes swept straight towards Lin Xuanyuan's hiding, and there was a flash of vigilance in her eyes. She sniffed lightly. "Who is there? Come out." Lin Xuanyuan's heart was thrilled. He knew that he could not hide it anymore, so he had to stand out with his head and said, "Don't misunderstand, I'm not a bad person. We're just passing here, no malicious." The girl looked him up and down, and her eyes looked at Yunjinren again. Seeing that the two of them were not weak, but they had no intention of being enemies, they finally relaxed a little and said, "I am Yuyan, the guardian of the Yuehua secret realm. Who are you? Why did you enter here?" The real person Yun took a step forward and bowed. Yun, this is my disciple Lin Xuanyuan. We entered this place without any intention because we avoided the pursuit of enemies. If there is any offense, I hope the girl will understand." Yuing heard it, her eyebrows were slightly sniffed, and she said after a moment of silence, "Since that's the case, I don't want you to leave. But the Yuehua secret realm does not welcome outsiders, you can leave quickly." Lin Xuanyuan saw her cold attitude and felt a little unwilling. She couldn't help but interrupt, "Miss Yue, we are really not mad, and the spirit here is so dense and suitable for cultivation. Why don't we stay for a few days? We promise that we are not in trouble." Yuing glanced at him and snorted coldly, "The blessings of the cave are not a place you can stay as long as you want. Your breath is exposed and it may cause trouble. I will let you leave early to avoid asking for trouble." When Yun saw this, he hurriedly grabbed Lin Xuanyuan and said in a low voice, "Don't talk too much. This girl is right. We are not calm, so it is really not suitable to stay for a long time. Let's go." Although Lin Xuanyuan was unwilling to accept it, he also knew that his master had reason, so he had to leave. But just as they walked out of the secret realm, a sudden burst of sound of breaking through the air suddenly came from behind, and Yu Yang's figure actually caught up with him. Her face was a little solemn, and she opened her mouth. "Wait. I just found out that there is a breath of demon cultivators outside the secret realm, which may be impeding you. If you don't mind, you can go back to the secret realm to avoid it. I know a secret passage that can avoid their perception." Lin Xuanyuan and Yun Wang looked at each other, but they didn't expect that this cold girl would take the initiative to help. Yuni pointed at the head. "I thank the girl for help. It's not appropriate to be idle. Let's go back quickly." So the three of them returned to the secret realm of Yuehua. Yuehua took them through a secret little girl and came to a cave covered by vines. There is no cave inside the cave. Although the spirit is not as thick as the outside, the spirit is blocked and the breath of the spirit is almost impossible to detect. Yuing said coldly, "You are here to hide and don't go out and run. I will patrol the secret realm, and I will notify you if there is any situation." Lin Xuanyuan looked at her leaving behind and couldn't help but mutter, "This girl has a hard mouth, but her heart is not bad." Yunjinren snorted, "Don't underestimate her. The guardians of the blessed world are special in blood. They know the restrictions and terrain well. With her here, we are much safer. Don't be idle, take this opportunity to cultivate your body and fight to break through the aura as soon as possible." In the following days, Lin Xuanyuan was cultivating a living in the Yuehua secret realm. Although Yuehua appeared to be cold, she would occasionally send some spiritual grass fruits to help him speed up his cultivation progress. Slowly, the relationship between several people became much more harmonious. Lin Xuanyuan also learned from Yuang that the subordinates of the Blood Demon Lord had searched for his whereabouts from the Jiutianshan realm, and even paid a lot of money to dig out the whereabouts of Joyo Qinglin. Blood Demon Lord. Lin Xuanyuan bit his teeth tightly, and anger ignited in his heart. He knew that this guy was the biggest threat on his path to immortal cultivation, and if he didn't solve it, he would never be at ease. Time passed by. 3 years later, with the help of Yu Rong and Yunjinren, Lin Xuanyuan cultivated and advanced rapidly, and broke through from the induced state to the middle stage of the basement state, and his fighting power increased several times. He learned the Qinglu sword technique taught by real person Yunlu, and combined with the spirit of Joyo Qinglu, it was amazing and even surpassed the challenge. Yuing taught him how to use the restriction of the cave heaven and blessings to hide his breath, allowing him to avoid the pursuit of the demon cultivators many times. On this day, a violent spiritual wave suddenly came from outside the Moonland secret, as if someone was enforcing the ban to break. Yu Yao returned at the first time, and her face was solemn. No, it was the Blood Demon Lord who came here. His cultivation is so deep that it is hard to detect. The secret realm ban will not last long, and you must leave immediately. True Mannion stood up and his eyes were calm. I can't leave anymore. Since the Blood Demon Lord has come out of his own way, he must have locked Xuanyuan's breath, and it's useless to escape anywhere. Today, we can only fight with the help of the water. Lin Xuanyuan was shocked, and he held the long sword in his hand tightly, gritted his teeth and said, Master, Yu Wei, let's go together. I don't believe that this Blood Demon Lord can really cover the sky with one hand. Yuing looked at him, with a complicated look in her eyes, and finally she pointed, Okay, I will adjust all the restrictions in the secret realm to help you with your help. But remember, if you don't fight hard, you must be tight on your life. The three of them quickly set up defense lines, and the moon urged the ban, and the mist in the secret realm was spreading, and countless light wires intersected to form a network, sealing the entrance tightly. The real person of Yunlu took out his natal magic treasure, a long blue sword, scattering the will of Linglu. Lin Xuanyuan took a deep breath, and the power of the 9 green leaves in her body flowed slowly. The green light scattered on the sword, and the air suddenly increased. Room! With a loud noise, the restriction at the entrance of the secret realm was torn open, and a figure of a red star stepped in slowly, and it was the Blood Demon Lord. He was wearing a black-red robe, with a cold face, his eyes as blood, and the magic radiated on his body made the spirits of the entire secret realm mess up. He glanced around, and his eyes finally fell on Lin Xuanyuan, and he sneered, Joyo Qinglian, it's true that it's on you. I've been looking for it for so long, and I finally succeeded today. Lin Xuanyuan bit his teeth and glared back without showing any weakness. If you want to snatch my soul, please ask if the sword in my hand first. The Blood Demon Lord snorted coldly, raised his hand and waved it, and a blood-colored demon light rushed in, so fast that it was almost impossible to see clearly. The first real person in Yunlu came to meet him. The green splatter light collided with the magic light, and the entire secret realm began to shake. The moon urged the ban, and countless light shots from all directions towards the Blood Demon Lord, trying to limit his movements. Lin Xuanyuan saw the situation and stepped down, his body shaped like electricity. The long sword pointed directly at the heart of the Blood Demon King. The sword's body was full of green light, and there was a hidden shadow of a flower. The Blood Demon Lord flashed a slight flickering in his eyes and sneered, You dare to be arrogant in front of me in the small base realm? With a single hand, a huge blood-colored demon claw appeared in the air, and directly slapped Lin Xuanyuan's sword light. Before his strength could be eliminated, he smashed him hard in the chest. Be careful! Yuniren shouted softly, and the sword light turned around, and Lin Xuanyuan knocked this blow, but he was shocked several steps, and blood was overflowing from the corners of his mouth again. Seeing the situation, Yuan gritted his teeth and urged the core ban of the secret realm. A huge pillar of light fell from the sky, directly shaking the blood-killing Demon King, and finally let his body scatter. Lin Xuanyuan took advantage of this opportunity and the power of the 9 green leaves in his body exploded. The green light turned into countless petals, and rolled towards the Blood Demon Lord with a strong height. This shot almost exhausted all his power, but it was amazing. Even the Blood Demon Lord had to concentrate and respond. He sealed his hands with his seal, transforming a blood-colored light shield, and slamming the downward flap. "It's a bit meaningful." The Blood Demon Lord sneered, his eyes becoming more pungent, "but the point is ultimately the point. Today, you don't want to live, one of you." The battle became more and more intense, and the spirit and magic in the secret realm were intertwined. A deep pit was created on the ground. Yunjinren and Yu Yao were injured. Lin Xuanyuan was not much better. His body was covered with blood and his power was almost exhausted. But he gritted his teeth and his parents' faces appeared in the sea of brains, in the broken mountain village of Qingshiling. He told himself that he would never fall down. Xuanyuan, use the power of the spiritual fundamental source. Yuniren suddenly shouted loudly, with a desperate voice, "I and Yue will fight for you for time. This blow will definitely kill him." Lin Xuanyuan was shocked and knew that this was his master fighting for his life. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. The original power of the 9 green leaves in his body flowed out, turning into a huge green leaves, floating behind him, emitting endless power. At the same time, Yunjinren and Yu Yao were not injured, and they jointly launched the last hit, attracting the attention of the Blood Demon Lord. "Go to die." Lin Xuanyuan's eyes suddenly slid, and the Qinglu shadow turned into a dazzling pillar of light, directly slamming the Blood Demon King's chest. This blow contained all the power of the spiritual root, and cracks were torn into pieces in the space. The Blood Demon Lord finally changed his face and tried to avoid it, but Yunjinren and Yuan kept him tightly, leaving him nowhere to escape. Right. The Blood Demon King was hit by the pillar of light, and a huge sound of shocking the earth. The magic was torn apart in an instant. His figure was twisted in the pillar of light, and he roared unwillingly, "I am not willing to." The light dissipated, and the figure of the Blood Demon Lord disappeared, leaving only a charred ground, which proved that he had existed. Lin Xuanyuan knelt on the ground with a sound, exhausted his power and couldn't even lift his fingers. Yunjinren and Yu Yang were not much better. They supported each other and smiled on their faces. "Boy, it's very fucked." Yuniren gasped and patted Lin Xuanyuan on the shoulder. "As soon as the Blood Demon Lord dies, the 9 Heavens Xian realm can be at least stable for a while." The moonlight also looked a little bit, revealing a touch of softness. "Your spiritual roots are indeed not simple. What are you going to do next?" Lin Xuanyuan grinned. Although she was so tired, she was extremely tired. He looked at the vast sky outside the secret realm and murmured, "Of course, it's been a step further. The 9 Heavens profound realm is so big that I haven't visited many places and have not finished many things." Yunwan laughed and said, "Okay, ambitious. I will accompany you to see how big a wave this Joyo Qingluo can bring." The three of them smiled at each other. Although they were seriously injured, their hearts were filled with hope. The spirit flows in the secret realm, like sending blessings to them, and Lin Xuanyuan's path to cultivating immortals just kicked off.